tell me about your history. You grew up in Overland Park.
I did.
We actually went to high school together.
Yeah, we went to this high school for
Yeah,
a little
Levi
while.
North.
Yeah.
Mustangs all the way.
Yeah.
No. So were you born in this area too?
Yeah, well, around the area, yeah, Kansas
Okay.
City area. Grew up here, moved around a little when I was younger, but in general, most of it's been here. I actually went to the elementary school my kids are at, Valley Park. Then Overland Trail opened up, and I went over there.
OTE.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then kind of went through the system that way, and it was kind of fun to. And ironically, my boy's kindergarten teacher was a kindergarten teacher when I was there, and she looks younger, so I'm
How's
not
that
sure
feel?
what she did. Well, I didn't
She looks
notice.
younger?
She does, and I don't know. I didn't notice until a girlfriend of mine posted her kindergarten picture, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Miss Albers, and she's amazing, and she's a really great support, so I
That's
was
funny.
glad both my boys got her, and that was great. So yeah, then I don't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I come from a family of nurses, doctors, and my dad's in business, and so I think I played around with business or something in the beginning, and my mom was kind of like, just stop messing around, just be a nurse. You can do anything after that, just be a nurse. So I went to KU. Probably first year was a little bit of a struggle because I'm not a chemistry person, and that's a bit hard.
Yeah.
But got into nursing school at St. Luke's College of Nursing and
Okay.
did that. Worked in the ortho area in a level 1 trauma center. Did that for a year and went into ICU, and that's kind of where my true background is ICU. I did probably 6 or 7 years at the bedside in the neurosurgical ICU and also level 1 trauma. Inner city, both environments. Did ER for about 5 minutes before I realized my OCD was too much for that. There are some amazing ER ICU nurse crossovers. I was not one of them. I am an ICU nurse through and through. I like the control.
Yeah.
So, and then I went back. I think my oldest son, Rashan, was 6 months old when I went back for my master's in nursing. And then I was pregnant with Jahan when I decided to go back for my master's in business. And decided that in nursing, I could do it all. I could do the business side that I was interested in, and crossed over to business. Started working my way through the leadership track.
Wait, you went back twice?
I did.
Oh my
two separate
goodness.
degrees.
So the first time you had a 6-month-old, is that what you said? Mm-hmm. And then the second time you had...
I was pregnant with the other one.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So how old was the oldest?
3-ish, 2.5, 2. I don't know, something terrible 2, somewhere in there.
So what did your day look like?
I worked full-time job, and I had 2 days a week, maybe. I was in class until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then I'd go home and do homework and turn around and go back to work the next day, and you just fit it in. Wow. Yeah.
So who helped? Did you have like your parents helping them with the kids?
My ex-husband was helping with that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's got to be a tough situation, going back to school and having kids, and
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people won't do that because they have kids,
Yeah.
and they're like, I can't do both.
I was worried that I wouldn't. I hated school. I mean, I just was never good in it.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and I was that person who always as long as I paid attention, I would remember. I didn't study. I mean, I think, in fact, today I still have books still in the wrap that, like, I never even opened. Because as long as I focused in class, I could remember it. And I did well on tests. You know, I was probably a B, C, maybe an A, a couple A's in there, average. I wasn't a top student by any means. But when Roshan was only a few months old, the hospital I was working at partnered with a school and gave us a little bit of a discount, but honestly just brought it to the organization. So I could just stay at work, and as long as I could get, my ex-husband with my kids or whatever, it was doable. And honestly, he slept a lot of times. He's 6 months old. I could get him. He slept more hours. It was a little easier. The second time I was crazy. That was pure craziness, because the first time he slept, the second time he was 2, and it was horrible. And I don't know how I did it. It was all a blur.
You just did it.
I just did it. You just do it.
Wow.
And it was business, so it was way outside my...
Is it 2 years to get a master?
It was this one, they were accelerated, so this was a year.
So you did summer.
I did summer into, it was like a little bit past like February or March, I think, is when I kind of finished. But yeah, it was intense, but I knew that if I didn't go back, I would never do it. And I knew that I had to take advantage of my children being young, because now I am so busy. There's no way I could have done it.
Yeah. So then, once Roshan turned 5, then you guys got a divorce. You got separated, which made things even harder.
Yeah. We were actually out in Seattle when that happened. And it was different because he was a stay-at-home dad. And that's kind of some of the struggle that is the reason we divorced, is he made other choices that I didn't.
Sure.
And so I found myself being 110% single mom and trying to make everything work. And I was out in Seattle, which I had an amazing support group out there. But, at the end of the day, home is where your mama is kind of where it is. And my mom was here. So I had said, well, I'll only come back if I have a good job. And no sooner did I hang up the phone, did a previous mentor pick up and call and say, I have an opportunity for you in Kansas. Are you interested? I said, well, I think you have my phone bugged, but sure, yeah, let's go ahead and check this out.
That's funny how things just work out like that.
It does. It just falls into place.
I'm just, and the only reason I bring up the whole separating thing is just, I'm very intrigued with people who have gone through those hardships that at the end of it, they become something better.
Yeah.
And they don't give up, they persevere, and they just grind it out. And I love those stories.
Yeah.
Because I know that is the only way that you're going to not only strengthen your character, but really find that next level. Because then after you emerge from that, when something comes up, then you're like, oh, that's nothing.
Right.
Because I've been through all of this, and that little thing that stresses a lot of people out, it's nothing.
Yeah. Well, and you don't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I had to provide for my children. I was already in the leadership world. I now have all these student loans, and so I couldn't take a step back and go back to the bedside. And, I had to keep them active. And then I had some weird idea that I didn't want a nanny raising them, so I had to do it all. And, people ask me all the time, how do you do it? And what do you do to keep going? And it's like, I just do it. You just do it. There's no choice in it. That was the choice I made. I made the choice to have family. I made the choice to also pursue my career at the same time. And I'm sure they could be better, but my kids are happy and healthy. And generally I'm happy. Works hard. I wouldn't mind winning the lottery and just working for fun, but you get it done. And I think it's important to show my children that, I didn't quit when it got hard. I didn't give up when it got hard. And there are days they know Mama's not perfect and I make mistakes, and it's important for them to see that. And when they are struggling in school, I remind them, Mama was really bad in school. So I had to try a little harder, and I had to do things a little different so that I could get through that. But you better just get prepared now, because you're going to graduate college. You're going to go all the way through, because I did it all.
Right. That's amazing. So then what does your day look like now?
Well, my mom moved in with me, and she is a night nurse, so we kind of balance our schedules out a little. But in general, I get up about 4 a.m. and I do some of the work that I either couldn't do the day before or night before. I pack lunches, I get snacks ready, I get school ready. Then when she gets home from work, usually around 7-ish or 7:30, I will head off to work. If there are nights that she didn't work, I will head into work about 5 a.m. And I head to work, and I run a couple units, and I still am a nurse at the end of the day, so I will go to business meetings and still do CPR on a patient or do IVs or things like that. And I stay there until I have a break in my day and have to go home and pick up my kids. And from there, they're in sports in addition to Taekwondo. They're in track and cross country and baseball and soccer. And so I've learned to pack in the protein in a lot of snacks. High protein snacks are my friend. And I have those in my car. I have them in my bag. Pretty much anyone who's hungry around me, I could feed you at any point. And I shove in some protein snacks, and we go off to the next sport. We get home, we do dinner, talk about our day a little, and they go to bed, and I do a little more work, and then I try to go to sleep.
So what time you go to bed, usually?
I don't know, like 10 or 11.
And you wake up at 4?
Yeah, on and off throughout the night. But my staff, I'm 24/7, so my staff will tell you that I will answer their calls or their text messages at 2 a.m. because...
And they'll call you?
Well, yeah, they have to. Situations occur that they have to bring me into it. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
So you can function on 5 hours of sleep.
I don't know if it's called functioning what I do, but
Because for me, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm worthless.
yeah.
That's like a huge weakness for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I got it from my mom. She sleeps maybe a couple hours a day, and she was a single mom and made it through as well. And so again, you just do it. And there are days that I know that if I, like the weekends, if I don't have us planned to go out and do all these things, I would probably lay on the couch all day. But we can't do that in my world. So I do know that there will be a point I probably crash and burn. But
Right.
so far, I've been doing this 3 years, and I'm still going. And I do function on, I mean, I'll sneak in naps here and there, like on the weekends when
Yeah.
we're home. 15-minute naps are my friend. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, amazingly enough, or soda drinker, lots of water, but
You don't drink a lot of caffeine?
I don't actually.
Wow.
I get energized by a lot of the things around me, I think, and just the drive to keep going. So
Yeah.
I don't tend to have, I mean, there's always going to be the days that you do grab a cup of coffee or, like I said, I'm not a big soda drinker. So I guess in the end it ends up probably being coffee, which is maybe worse, but.
Yeah. So your current position, what exactly are your responsibilities?
So I have 24/7 accountability for our Ortho Neuro Trauma unit, medical surgical unit, and then of course our sports medicine department, which is a lot of my athletic trainers on weekends and nights at various events for pediatric in our area. So some college events, but a lot of like Sporting Blue Valley, KCFC, things like that they'll do events at. And
this is which group?
Overland Park Regional.
That's
I do
right.
that, yeah.
Okay.
So within that, I have about, I'll be honest, to tell you, a little over 100 employees that report to me. I have a manager in my sports medicine department, and I have a manager in my medical surgical unit. I don't have a manager for my Ortho Neuro Trauma, which is actually the unit that brought me here to Kansas City. And the manager for the medical surgical unit is new, so I have to train her. But in general, I have charge nurses on each unit, and of course nurses and techs. And the charge nurses can handle most of the daily stuff, but there are always situations that they'll come to me about. They all know my phone goes on Do Not Disturb from 10 to 4. And they do know, though, if I'm awake, I'm going to answer it. So I always tell them, text me no matter what, because you never know if I'm awake. And,
Right.
But they'll text me about situations. I do payroll scheduling, contract negotiations. I round on patients. I provide support and education.
Wow. How many total people do you think do you manage?
Definitely over 100, close to probably 150. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that?
3 years
Okay.
at Overland Park Regional. One of the units I just got added just this last couple weeks, but that replaced another group of staff. So I've always kind of had a big group.
Yeah.
In Seattle, I ran 2 major units, 2 programs, couple groups of doctors. So I've probably had that load of staff for probably 6 years, maybe.
So here's a question. So why do you think the people who are in charge choose you to do that job?
Probably because I'm the only person that says yes. I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm not a huge, advocate for myself necessarily, but I have the highest employee engagement and the lowest turnover in our division. Staff follow me. I had someone ask me once, what do you do that it's like your staff would follow you off a bridge? And I'll tell you, I don't know. I'm just who I am. I'm transparent and authentic 110% of the time because I don't know how to be otherwise. Today was
Right.
a rough day. For example, I had a nurse make a really poor decision, and she said, "You don't look happy." And I said, "I'm not happy, and I'm going to go the other way because I can't sometimes put that aside because I'm highly disappointed in if the care isn't that high expectation." So they know that. They know.
So then what do you do after you?
Oh, well, I'll have to talk to her another day.
Ah,
Gather my info and sit down and chit chat with her about where the breakdown was. Because I also believe in giving people a chance. We
Yeah.
make mistakes, humans make mistakes. And if we can learn where that mistake was and you can get better from it, great. Now, if this is your 3rd or 4th time, I can only give you so many chances. You
Right,
know,
right.
And we need to now discuss, is this the right place for you? So, it can be tough, and it's hard because I've had situations where I've had to deal with staff members diverting narcotics. That's a huge thing in healthcare, and that crushes you. That breaks your heart as a leader to have to sit someone down and be like, look, you have a problem. And they have to admit to it, and they don't always admit to it, but the ones that don't admit to it that you have to end up ultimately firing, I mean, you're making a decision for somebody's life right there. And,
Right.
you know, it's their job, and that's difficult. And at the same time, you know, nursing, that's what we do too. You make the decision, and what you decide guides a person's life. It can change a person's life forever if you make the wrong decision. So
Sure.
those are tough things we deal with regularly, but it's what we do.
So there are probably moments that led up to you getting this position where you just wanted to throw in the towel?
Yeah, lots of those moments.
Because if you did, you wouldn't be in this position.
Right.
If you didn't go and get your master's, I don't think, do you think you'd be in your position now?
I think I'm a very loud and aggressive person that I probably would be, but I wouldn't have the support of my background, my education to help that. I've learned budget so many different ways. So yeah, my master's in business probably helped me to some extent, but every organization does it different. What it really helped me was kind of guide me on how to run a business, essentially, and how to think things a little different than being a nurse and thinking just the black and white. And I do love it because I can go into meetings, and I'm a nurse at the end of the day, and I'll advocate for our patients, but I also understand that we are a business and we have to find a compromise in between there. I'd love for every one of my nurses to have 2 patients, you know, but the reality is the average for nurses in the nation are 5. So I try to figure out, okay, well, I can't give them this, so how do I support and give them maybe extra techs or different equipment that make their job easier and things like that. So I probably would know that if I didn't have that business side of things. which is
Sure.
great.
So would you say your, I guess, strengths are going to be more of the intuition and
yeah.
street smarts, quote unquote?
I guess
And then
so.
your weaknesses, or not so much your strengths, but like the non-strengths would be like book smart.
Yeah,
'Cause
oh
you're
yeah,
getting
definitely.
B's and C's.
Yeah, yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I kind of just, the thing is, I just feel like I didn't feel motivated. I'm like, I don't want to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important is, especially for parents of younger children, it's not all about getting perfect grades.
Mm-hmm.
It's about also building your character and just developing that street smarts, because I think a lot of people don't naturally have it.
Yeah.
And they learn the hard way once they leave the nest, because it's like, well, wait a minute, I thought everybody was like this.
Right.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to have that intuition.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You know, my staff will tell you my biggest weakness is if you email me, one of my staff members emails like a book. And I'm like, okay, girl, you know I'm going to skim this and
That's
I'm not
me.
going to read half
Yep.
of it. Bullet point things, short sentences, like and I'm on the go. You know, the staff here probably see me all the time. I'm on a phone, 1 or 2 phones. And I know it's the worst thing you could do is that's always the rule. Like, you're not supposed to go to daycare picking up your kids on the phone because it's like, I don't know,
Well,
bad.
that's why they're in daycare.
But right, I said, but I have to. I mean, there's many times that I've walked in here and I'm dealing with intense situations, and they've been great. I used to have a daycare that I felt like they're judging me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Shame on them.
Here they're really great. But I do think my gut. I was actually teaching a class today about patient experience, and I said, you know,
Well, hold on, you teach classes
I
too?
do teach classes too.
Wow. Super mom over here.
Yeah, no, I just, you know, what it is I teach my story, my son's story. Jahan has medical issues. And
Oh, okay.
We've had the other side of the patient care experience. It's a different world when you're on the other side of it. But I did mention to them, I said, you know, like anyone else, I don't have a lot of confidence in every aspect of my life, but I was a very good ICU nurse. And the reason I was is because I always listened to my gut, always. And as a director and as a leader, it has guided me well. I can be overly passionate, I can be hyperactive and things like that, but you find your niche. And oddly enough, we did the True Colors. Have you ever done that? Where it's like it tells you where your strengths are, and one of them is like orange is like the fun and kind of don't look before you leap. In my life, that's what I am. But at work, I'm actually the green, which is analytical and logical and does like details, which I think is crazy because I don't pay attention to details. But when I need to get it done, I
You'll
can
do
get it done.
Yeah. So tell me Jahan's story.
Jahan was born with pediatric glaucoma. So about 6 months, I noticed something was wrong. And I went to the doctor and I said, you know, he has this lazy eye. He's got one pupil bigger than the other. He doesn't act right. Like, he doesn't eat, talk, move, anything that Rashan was literally born talking full sentences and smiling at that. Jahan just didn't. He just existed. And the doc said, I don't see it. Next month comes around and I said, still something's wrong. And every month for a couple months, I would say, something's wrong. And he would say, oh, nothing, I don't see it. At one point, he actually said, stop being stupid. I'm the expert here.
To you?
To me.
Word for
to
word.
Me. Yeah, stop being stupid. You're
Wow.
just a nurse. I'm the doctor. I'm the expert. So,
Wow.
Oh yeah. But it hit my confidence, honestly. I'd always been a good nurse. I'd never had a doc question like I've always been.
You were a nurse at the time?
I was,
Okay.
yeah. But not pediatrics. Adults were my thing. Little people scare me. They're different. They're like weird little things. Yeah, they have like veins and stuff you can't find. I don't get it. So at 1 year, we had changed doctors because of insurance. And as the doctor was leaving the room, I mentioned, hey, by the way, there's this issue. And I wanted to just get it checked out. And so she kind of sighed and gave me a card for a pediatric ophthalmologist and said, well, you could probably see him, but no one really brings their kids for eye exams till they're older. So I held on to the card for 2 weeks thinking, well, I don't really want to be called stupid again. So, but at some point, I must have been like, my gut tells me something's wrong. I need to make this call. I'm going to regret it forever. So I call, and instantly that doctor knew from seeing us across the room that something was wrong. And there's actually a national program called Infant C. They actually check eye exams on babies from 6 months to a year for free. And it's a program all throughout the nation. And I didn't know about that. So I'm really frustrated because there was, 6 months in there that we could have maybe gotten him checked out earlier.
Could they have done something?
Maybe so. So anyways, we did some tests and they ended up sending me out to North Carolina. There's only 1 in 20,000 children are born with pediatric glaucoma. Most are not discovered till they're 2, and it's irreversibly blind because babies can't say, I'm in pain, I have something wrong. So it really depends on that parent, that mother, that father that has that gut feeling like something's not right here. Yeah. And he basically, long story short, he has had 5 surgeries. He gets drops 2 days a week, or 2 times a day. They're painful. The drops are painful. I've put one of them in my eye myself, honestly, accidentally, but it was on my eye. I touched my contact, but it burned really bad. We have a service dog. His name is Moses. He is trained by Guide Dogs of America. He's actually a medical alert dog, and he used to help kind of lay across, because Jahan was just a baby. He'd lay across his legs, and now that Jahan's older, he can't rub his eyes. So when you put the drops in, he wants to rub his eyes. So you can rub on Moses, and Moses is like a black lab. He's a tank. You could do anything to that dog, and he just loves them. And I'll tell you, Moses could take off running, and I could scream bloody murder, and that dog won't flinch. But Jahan could literally just be like, Moses, come here. And he'll just out of nowhere listen, because that's his kid. So Jahan has peripheral blindness. So unfortunately for him, there's no cure for glaucoma. He will eventually go 100% blind. He has it in both eyes, and his vision could go tomorrow, and he could be 65, and he could go. So every day is just a new day of, can he see me today? So that's what we deal with. We also deal with, he lives at a level of pain that is difficult. We can't do anything for him for the pain. So he kind of tolerates it. And he's not a big crier. He's not a big pain. Like, he doesn't feel a lot of pain because of that tolerance. So it's hard because when he does cry, it's got to be bad. He also knows how to work it, though. He'll tell someone, he's like, I don't feel, my eyes hurt.
So
and
he has
everybody's
pain in his eyes?
Yeah, both eyes.
Wow.
One kid told me that he's an older child that said it feels like that really big pimple that you're about to pop, that pain right before it pops, is what his eyes feel at all times.
Oh, my gosh.
It's terrible. So it's hard. Some nights he stays up all night, and because he can't sleep laying flat because the pressure goes up when he's laying flat, and he's crying because it hurts, and then when he cries, your pressure goes up more, and it hurts even more.
Blood pressure?
Yeah, just the pressure in your eyes, so there's fluid in your eyes that naturally kind of dump out at a certain point. His don't do that. So for various reasons, either just because he doesn't have the drains in his eyes, because the fluid is thicker than most people's, there's all sorts of things about that. But we believe in, we do what's called a visual bucket list. So every year we do 1 or 2 big vacations that involve vision and like seeing, like absorb. So we went on a Disney cruise, and it's like, see the sea and be on the boat and, do all these things, because I need you to smell it, and I need you to feel it, and I need you to just use all your senses so that if your vision goes, you will always remember what the ocean looked like.
Right.
Or in Seattle's the tulip fields, row upon row of fields color after color, and I made him touch every single color because it may feel different, I don't know.
Right.
But I want him to remember this is what yellow looks like, and it feels like, and it smells like, and just be there.
Right.
So every year we do those things, and this last year when we did the Disney cruise, it was rough. He was in pain, and so it was difficult. But luckily, Disney's pretty amazing, and I went up to the customer service and I was like, my son's in pain, and I can't get him to think outside of it. So could Mickey just come and make an appearance? And they're like, oh, sure. Mickey just has to get dressed, brush his teeth or whatever excuse they made. And every morning Mickey met us because they didn't know if it was going to be a bad morning or a good morning, but Mickey fixes everything.
Wow.
So
That's incredible
Yeah.
service.
yeah,
Incredible.
they are pretty impressive. So I balanced that with everything else. And then this last summer, Jahan was in an accident where he was thrown against a wall and he had a concussion. He ended up vomiting and went unresponsive, and I thought at one point I was losing my child. And we brought him to our hospital and tested him. He was positive for a concussion, but in addition, they found a mass in his brain. So he has what's called an arachnoid cyst. It's pretty big on one side. And what it really means is I can either continue to watch every aspect of his life. It could burst and cause brain damage, or it could burst and do nothing, or it could never burst. So you just never know. And so the neurologist that we saw was like, you could live every day and protect him from everything, or he could literally like just stumble and it burst from nowhere, or you could just let him live his life and see what happens. And he did say it's not very many. He hadn't seen, in his career, he'd only seen like 4 or 5 of them burst. So that was a little comforting. I mean, not really when you've seen it.
So him getting concussion led to them
It did.
doing a CAT scan.
Yeah, so
And
we wouldn't
then-
have never seen it.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I really just add into all the other things I watch him for, watch for any brain pressure increases in his brain, headaches and increased pain and things like that. Visual issues, which are honestly a lot of the same issues that he would express with his glaucoma pain. So we just keep it all going.
Take it day by day.
Right,
Just
that's exactly
take it day by day.
It is. And we talked about, like I talked to Miss Becky about here, I probably will not have him do sparring.
Yeah.
Because of all of that, but, kicking in the head is some
Yeah.
points in there. So, but
Perfectly fine with me.
right. But that was, one of the things that I talked about in the beginning of putting him here because I wanted him to have confidence. So if he
Yeah.
loses his vision, he will always be able to go back to what he's learning here, which is great.
Sure. So, what was the reason that you initially enrolled Roshan?
We were at Valley Park and I'd seen the bus come
Yeah.
through and I don't remember I don't even know if the kid's still around or if I think he was older. I think he was 5th grade or something.
Yeah.
But I ran into the parent and I mentioned, tell me about that and how do you like it? And you were in the old building at the time and they said, it was really great because they felt like they got this individualized care with their school, help with their schoolwork, help with Taekwondo, just help in general. And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, I've heard nothing but bad things about the Y that was there, so let's
Yep.
give it a shot.
Yep.
And it has been beneficial. And, we've had various teachers in there, and when you ask them to focus on certain aspects, they've always done well. And Rashan, their dad isn't in their life, and a lot of the times it's male teachers in there, and he has just clung on and connected to them. And so not only does he get the help with homework and does he get the help with Taekwondo, but it's that connection with a male instructor that he really needs in his life.
Right.
So it's been great. He seems to listen to everyone else but me, so that works out well too. And
Yeah, that's usually how that works.
Yeah, right.
My daughter doesn't listen to me.
Oh, your daughter's adorable.
She works it.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she
But-
definitely works it.
Yeah, and I love the encouragement. I had Rashan come to a sparring thing, I think it was like a year ago, and he is just the sweetest soul. So he's not aggressive. At
Right.
one point at testing last weekend, he was against a friend of his that's a girl, and he was like, well, I was like, boy, you got your butt kicked by her. And he's like, well, I can't hit a girl. And I was like, okay, well, this is different. So,
I have fond memories of getting my butt kicked by a girl.
Yeah.
Many of them when I was younger.
But he's super sweet, and the encouragement that the instructors had for him out there was so great. So I think that's the other thing is that I have played with the idea of, it may be cheaper to go other places,
Yeah.
but there are people here who have seen him since day one.
Right.
And to have that encouragement and that support, and it is important. And yeah, he doesn't want to go to class half the time.
Yeah.
And he makes up stories and they believe him because he's got this sweetness to him. But now they're better. They mostly know the tricks
Right.
to him, because I always tell them if he says his stomach hurt, he's lying most of the time. But they'll get him to go, and he'll go, and he's doing well.
He's testing for his black belt soon.
He is. He's very excited.
October or April?
April. And yesterday was back to school night, and he pretty much told every stranger I saw, like, they're like, oh, Rashid's testing for black belt. I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, we're great.
So hold on a minute. The boy who doesn't want to go to class half the time is proud of himself for testing for black belt soon?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, I think because it's that, not a lot of people know about, when you say, well, I'm a yellow belt, I'm an orange belt, and they're kind of like, whatever. Well, when you say, well, I'm 9 and
Right.
I'm going to be a black belt, everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. And
People know 2 belts, white and black.
yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
They don't know of any other belt.
And he needs so much of that, like, he loves that attention. Not like, he's not necessarily attention grabbing, but when people are like, oh, you've done such a good job,
Yeah.
you know, he just, it's like his chest swells up and he's so
Yeah.
excited.
All kids actually need that.
Yeah.
Because I think at this stage, that's really what their job is. Do the things that they're told, and then they get praised for it
Right.
until they get older. Actually, adults are kind of like that too.
Oh, definitely. That's what we were talking about at work. Like, I don't like the attention. I don't like to be told I'm great and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't tell me, I kind of am like, wait, am I okay? Like, I kind of need to know that
That's
too.
so funny.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. Am I
It's like,
doing
oh,
good?
don't tell me, but okay, but am I?
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate your time, and I know it's tough to get away, but thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.